Well, you know what time it is.
All right, everybody. Welcome to our Sunday stream. This is our 3 p.m. project stream. And let me get a few more things set up here for you guys. All right. Awesome. Guys, welcome to the channel. Today, we have a really big project. I had to get started in on it just a little bit early, just so I could show you guys what all had to come apart in order to do this radio upgrade. You guys remember this car. We've had it in here for over a month. This was about a month and a half ago, maybe. This car was in here for some major repairs. The major repairs were obviously the reason that it was in, but we found more that was wrong with the car. Some of the things that we found was that the radio didn't work. This was above and beyond the repairs that we did. They got the car back, drove it. It kind of worked, and then it stopped working altogether. They've been using a little portable boom box hooked to their cell phone in order to listen to anything in the car. So we're doing this radio upgrade to hopefully give them the sound back in the car. Plus, we're going to upgrade a few things. I will cover those things in just a little bit. Let me get some stuff up here for you guys. Jay, good to have you in here today. Just getting a few things set up for you guys. Then we'll get into this radio project. Okay, I want to get this up so we can pin this to the top. All right. All right. Well, good to have you in here today, Jay. Hopefully, some more people filter in here shortly. And let me start off with the announcements. Guys, we've been doing really good on subscriber counts. Subscriber counts have been starting to swing back up. About a month ago, they started tanking. And some of that is because of how I switched how I stream. I was doing mobile only, which allowed me to gain the viewership of the mobile device, but I couldn't go back. Once I switched over to this new setup with the cool sound effects, unfortunately, they wouldn't let me go back. They tanked my viewership, so that was a little...
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm usually far more composed. I'm just a little bit absolutely livid.
But I do like the new setup. I like how I'm able to stream and do things a lot smoother for you guys. I also like that I can do a lot of different things. So you guys see all the markers on the screen. That's because I'm actually using a streaming software to do this. Without the streaming software, you wouldn't see any of the other stuff. It wouldn't be there. So that's why I am glad that I can go this route. I'm going to change one thing for you guys. I noticed something I don't like. Yeah. Frustrating thing is I have a camera that loves to go autofocus on me, and when it does, it starts doing a bunch of weird things. So I don't like the picture being shaky, but I have to go in every stream, shut it off in order to stream for you guys. So a little annoyance, but not a big deal. All right, but continuing on with the announcements, guys, we're doing really good. If this is the first time you guys have checked out one of our podcasts, make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Anything that you guys do in the chat helps push the content. So right now, we're really trying to drive this home. I'm really trying to hit 5K by the end of the year. It's a big goal considering my channel growth so far, but we're also trying to do a lot of stuff for you guys in the new year. I do have some really big news though. We've got news on Champagne Bubbles. We've got news on Crimson Vortex. Some of this stuff I just found out Crimson Vortex literally 20 minutes ago. So there's some stuff I'm going to have to deal with. Champagne Bubbles, we've been dealing with that for over a month, but I will drop some of that info after the announcements. Some of it I'm going to save for the tail end after we've done our project. Check a few more things for you guys. All right. So as far as announcement goes, that'll complete the announcement, guys. Let's go ahead and get into today's main topic. All right, so today's main topic is installing a radio in this car. This car has a factory radio with all factory settings, and the radio deck is starting to fail. Unfortunately, this car is so old that you can't buy just a factory replacement plug and play setup. So what you need to do is go online and find one that they make as a plug and play for this car. Unfortunately, all your AC heater controls and everything are plugged in through the radio head unit, meaning that the bezel for everything is all attached as one unit. This is really frustrating because when they build these cars like this, they make it to where you really can't do anything with it unless you're willing to go through all of the hoops to replace everything. What we're also trying to do is upgrade this car a little bit. We're trying to give them a backup camera. We're also trying to give them a satellite radio. The backup camera might become an issue. So what I might do is plug the backup camera into the head unit, and we might have to run that wire at a different time. I'll have to see how difficult it is to pull up the plastic along the side panels to get into the trunk and then where we're going to run the wire. Some of that's going to require a lot more time than what I can give it because I can't necessarily pick this up tomorrow and do another stream. So it might be one of those things where we will tackle this at a different date and time. Also working on an interview with the owner of this car and what they're using it for. That's all been in the works now for the last couple of months. They've had some family issues come up, so they weren't able to do the interview sooner. We will see kind of what happens with that deal. Right now, I'm just focused on making sure I can get their car running back to where they need it, and we're going to deal with some of our other projects that we got going here. All right, let me see what's going on. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to save the news for this one until the tail end. I'm going to bring you guys up to speed on Champagne Bubbles. Champagne Bubbles has been at a Kia dealership with metal shavings in the motor for over a month. This process has been frustrating and has thoroughly pissed me off. When it comes right down to it, this is what happens when you buy a new car and you have to deal with the manufacturer. Kia has set up a tech line.
Bruh.
This tech line is designed to determine whether or not they're going to fix it under warranty. What this does is it puts another step in the process and makes it to where they could say no based on what a computer tells them and not what a technician is actually looking at. So because we got metal shavings in the motor on Champagne Bubbles, we have to wait for them to reject to do the repair. If they reject it, we're going to be forced to deal with it. I've already talked to a friend of mine. I've already looked up motors. I can get my hands on one, but if I put a motor in it, I need to make sure that we're not going to have motor issues going forward, or I'm going to get rid of the car. If we wind up getting rid of the car, we're already looking into options of replacing it with a two-door Jeep. Not quite sure what that would look like yet, or what age or mileage it would have. Less than 100,000 is ideally what I want, but it might be around the 120 mark. Realistically, that's probably what it would be in order to get into probably a 2012 to 2015 two-door Jeep Wrangler is what we're looking at. If we go that route. The other route is we put a motor in the car, the motor is solid, and we keep the car. So that's the other option that we've got going. The really bad thing is that motor can run us about $2,000. And that's $2,000 I wasn't expecting to cough up right now. That was money that I was going to use for getting the rest of the projects going and done that I need to get done. This is going to push off LS Goat for a little longer. We may not get to that car now until next spring, basically after tax season, and I know kind of where I'm sitting on taxes side of things, so that might have to wait until that tax season's over and I know what I got to deal with for the LS Goat. As far as Big Red, I got to have that truck running for winter. I can't have it down. And what I've got for news on this one, yeah, I need to have that truck ready to go. There's not much option, just because I'm looking at a similar situation on this thing right here. And I'll let you guys know what I found when I did the oil change here at the end of this video before we wrap things up. But let's go ahead and I want to move you guys closer to the car. We're going to go over what I've taken apart. Yeah, Jay, this is we're going through a bad season in vehicles. We really are. Honestly, we got two decent ones when we got rid of the Silver Swine, which the Silver Swine was a solid truck. The issue was it was two-wheel drive. It was a pre-runner. It was from Arizona. It was rust-free. It had super low miles. So I didn't want to run the miles up on it. Not a chance. Wasn't going to happen. That truck has too much value to go doing that. The other thing is we had Malibu Steel. Malibu Steel, I had feelings that there was something going on in the motor and not very good things. After doing the timing chain on that one, I noticed that the engine wasn't quite running the way it was supposed to run. And I got a feeling that the person who helped me do that messed up and didn't tell me what he did. So honestly, that's why, guys, I don't usually like bringing people in to help unless I know we're not opening a motor. The minute we open a motor, I really don't like people in the garage. Open motors, so many things can go wrong, so many things can go bad so quickly. And all it does is add more problems. Yeah, RIP to those. Yeah, anytime a motor's open or anytime you have metal shavings in a motor, RIP to the engine. The only way to save it is you literally have to strip the engine down to nothing, have it hot tanked, have it bored, have it honed, have it cleaned again after it's bored or honed, whatever needs to happen. Then you have to start putting new components in. This is new bearings, possibly new pistons, new rings. Everything has to be new. You can't reuse anything without a deep clean. Heads have to be completely stripped apart, deep cleaned, because oil does circulate through the top of the head, meaning you have metal shavings in your valve train, everything. Literally, metal shavings in an engine is, it is no doubt this sound effect. You start seeing metal shavings in an engine and you kiss that engine goodbye, because the only thing salvageable is the castings. Everything else has to go. New valves, new springs, new seats, new seals, new rings, everything. Everything's got to be replaced. Everything. Anything that touches oil can't remain without a deep clean, meaning you're gutting the heads completely, stripping them down to nothing, machining them to zero deck, meaning you got to put it on a lathe upside down and they'll deck it completely flat. You have to rebuild the heads, meaning put new valves in, put new seats in, new springs, new guides, new everything. It's all got to be new. You can't reuse anything that has metal shavings. If you guys are putting engines together and you're reusing stuff that's had metal shavings in it, you're throwing money away, literally. Don't do it. Under no circumstance do you ever reuse components that an engine has started throwing metal shavings. Never, ever, ever do it. Because what'll happen is you'll wind up grenading a brand new engine and sending those metal shavings all over the engine again, and you're going to start over. So, yeah, really sad at what we found on Champagne Bubbles. There is I would say probably about a 70% chance that that car will wind up back here. We will be putting a motor in it, and then probably another 40% chance we're just going to sell the car and move on after we've put a motor in it. A lot of that deciding if we're going to sell it, though, is going to be determined on what kind of motor we can get for it, and do I trust the used motor to run better than the what was supposed to be a new motor in that car. That car has less than 85,000 miles on it, guys. That's not enough miles to start seeing that kind of issue. The issues I'm seeing in that car, that thing has 173,000 miles on it, and I'm seeing something. Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but you guys can probably put two and two together on what's going on with these two vehicles. But yeah, we knew there was going to be a lineup change. We just didn't know how extensive it was going to be. And I didn't know if I was going to sell this off and just stick to the truck and the car, which is what the original plan was, because I really don't like having vehicles sit outside in the winter. I don't like ice and snow and salt hanging off of frames. It rots frames out really fast. So the only problem is that we don't have a backup. I don't have a backup. So if this goes down, Champagne Bubbles is down, all we got is my truck. We could make it work, but it's not ideal. So that's the news I got, guys. Little frustrating, but I wanted to bring you guys up to speed here a little bit before we jumped into the project. I'm going to double check a few things. If you guys are checking this out for the first time today, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We do this every Sunday at 3 p.m. and we do our news at 7 p.m. So we also do the news for the week. We recap kind of what happened. I got two sites that I go through the news. One of them I do very extensively. The other one I kind of skim because they do repeat a lot of same news topics. I don't know why. It's just what they do with news. In automotive world, news gets recycled. So if one site does an article, the other site will do a very similar article, or the author of the article will sell it to both. So it's a really weird situation. It's not like your traditional news where you'll have different takes based on their viewpoints. In the automotive news, it's the news, but some sites do kind of push an agenda. And I can get into that tonight if you guys want. I can push a little bit on that topic a little bit more. But for today, let's go ahead and I'm going to move you guys around. I'm going to show you guys what we got going. This radio is a mess. I hate to say it, but I'm going to be wrestling this deck out of the car. And hopefully I can get it out and we can get the new one in it. Ideally, I would like to get this thing put together today because I don't really have time to wrestle with this radio and then have this thing be down for my customer. They can't have this thing down. They need it up and going. So we're going to move you guys around here. So first of all, you guys can see this piece here is laying on the dash. This is the center section. of where the radio is. You guys can see the radio laying there in the center. That's the radio laying there. So what I need to do is I need to get the wires off of that radio, and then I can bring you guys in and show you guys what we're actually taking apart here. So for now, I'm going to set you guys right there. And I know this beeping is annoying, guys, but I can't get rid of it yet because I got to get this radio out of here. So I'm going to move this hopefully to the other side here. That way you guys can kind of see. So I've got the radio out. It's loose and kind of in my hands. But the issue is that I have a whole bunch of wiring attached to it. And some of my goal here, guys, is to get this radio out so I can show you guys where all the fasteners are on this radio. All right, so I'm slowly dropping the radio down here so I can get access at the connectors. There's a blue connector on the back of the radio, and there's a green one. Actually, a green one is the back of the head unit for the radio. Okay. All right, I am not going to deal with that wire, and I want to get this beeping shut off because I know how annoying that is. This car also has another problem that I need to deal with on this car. Let me get this radio out and I'll explain everything to you guys. Okay, so I've got the radio off and in my hand. Let me get you guys back to where you were, and then I'm going to grab the two radios. All right. I will bring you guys inside here in just a bit, and we will talk about what I all had to take apart. But for now, I want to move you guys back. All right. So this radio is a giant pain. We try to do the best we can with every single repair that we do, but sometimes things are more problematic than what they need to be. This is one of those times. So here is our radio head unit. This has our main radio deck, and then all of our controls for our heat, AC, and everything that runs the car, even the rear defrost. So you can't separate this head unit from the heater controls. It's integrated into a all-in-one setup, meaning that when the radio goes, you have to replace it and you're going to lose your controls. Now, you can buy an upgrade, guys. And you can get this upgrade online, usually at either Amazon or eBay, and it'll come as a complete unit. Let me grab that unit. This unit here is designed to replace what we took out. It's also designed that we can clip it back in the factory locations. But we're going to have to find all of the factory clips. Now, most of them are supposed to stay with the old radio setup. Some of them do not, though. So we do have to look for them on that old radio and pick them off of there. But this is a nice, clean upgrade for this car. Very clean upgrade, guys. Super clean. Gives us all of our controls down here, fan speed, climate control, the whole 9 yards. Now, ours does not have dual climate control because ours is not the top of the line model, but we will hook it up, and the wire harness that we got was the one for a single temperature control. So make sure you know what you're buying before you buy it. If you buy one with a dual climate control, make sure your car has dual climate control. If it doesn't, buy the other one. But know what you got. Make sure you do your homework. Don't just say, well, that looks like it's going to fit, and buy it. That's where most people go wrong buying online. If you don't take the time to verify your parts before you hit that buy button, you can definitely buy the wrong parts. And it happens a lot easier than you think because not all vehicles are the same. It happened over on this one. I thought that a switch was a switch. My window switches were getting sticky. Sometimes they don't like to roll up very well unless you wiggle the switch. I went and bought a switch for it. But because this is the SLT model, the switches are different. Meaning that it wouldn't work with the SLE models. So on a GMC, you've got your two basic models. You have an SLE, which is your stripped down, barely any power options except for maybe power windows. And then you have your SLT model, which is what this is. This has got the leather, all the fancies. So it's a different switch. And just because it looks the same doesn't mean it operates the same. So remember that when buying parts online. That is a huge, huge tip for any of you guys. Always verify parts. Otherwise, don't hit that purchase button. Double check some stuff. All right. It's good to have you guys in here on this Sunday. Again, if you guys are checking out our live stream today, make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe, comment down below. That really does help drive engagement, and it really does help get us out there and get the content out for you guys. So now that we have our new radio, we do have some wire harnesses, and a lot of these wire harnesses are designed so that we can extend and reach our factory harness. And because we're not going to have the big bracket that we had on the old one, we're also going to have two screws that we're not going to be putting in this radio. That being said, we will need to remove everything that we possibly can to get everything hooked up. Now, some of these are wire harnesses for the backup camera. So our backup camera is located right here. As much as I want to put this in, I'm noticing a whole lot of additional wiring. So we may have to save that for a later date, guys. That's going to be a massively big project, and it's probably going to take me a while to do that one just because of where I'm going to have to run wires. there's a lot more of the car that would have to come apart, and I really don't want to tie this up. Like I said, they need this car back. I need to get that truck in here, the Tahoe. That is also their vehicle, and I need to get that one done as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through here and see what I need to pull in order to put this stuff together on here. And so I don't drop and break this, I'm going to set this back in the box. So let's take a look at our harness. This is the blue one that we had. This is the green one that we had. So this is designed to plug into stock wire harness. And this is designed to plug into the radio. There are 2 wires that are hanging here loose that are capped off. Now, usually they label these to say what these are, but they're not saying. They also got 2 loose ones on this side that say reverse and key 2. We're not going to touch any of these. We're going to connect the wires that are here, but we are not going to separate any of these harnesses. Our main goal is to get the main stereo put in and make sure everything works before we worry about hooking up any accessories. If we wanted to do a stereo system, we can do a stereo system on this car. Here is everything for our amp wires. It also labels what is like this wire here is to kick on your amplifier. This one here goes to your subwoofer. These go to speakers, and then we also have an extension wire here that is a mic for your phone. If I can hook up the phone portion of it today, I'm going to try to do that for them. Here is the GPS. They are going to want this, and it does come with double-sided tape. I'm just going to run this and set this in the windshield. So we're going to run this through and plug this in. So this harness will get plugged in because there's a microphone on it. This one will get ran and tightened down because this is for the GPS. This here is an auxiliary microphone. So the mic wire that we saw, this gets plugged into it so that when they connect their phone, this will send a signal to the radio so that they can connect the radio to the car and then have hands-free driving. Gotta have this. If you don't put this in, the wireless phone or hands-free phone option will not work. So that has to go in today too. I'm trying to get as much as I possibly can other than the backup camera in there. So here is a camera harness. I'm going to guess this is exactly. So we do have this one and this one. This is a battery antenna, battery Wi-Fi antenna, 12-volt output for camera. So this is a camera wire. We're not going to even touch this one today. That's going to go right with wherever I put the camera. I think I put the camera back in the box, so I'm going to put that harness back in the box. And then it does come with new screws and some tools. I didn't use these because I got my own. And I'm going to show you guys those here in a little bit. But these tools are very cheap. You can hang on to them and use them if you need them. But honestly, guys, these are throwaway disposable tools. Oftentimes, I like to donate these to thrift stores because anybody who needs tools, this will get them by in a pinch. Now, if you need a flat screwdriver or you need a small Phillips or something, you're better off picking this stuff up maybe at a thrift store than what you are to try to buy it from a parts store. So if you're hard up and you need some tools quickly, oftentimes check your thrift stores. Like I said, I donate a lot of this stuff to thrift stores just to help other people out. These here are connections for the radio. This allows you to have basically Bluetooth or USB ports. So this gives them 2 USB ports that they can use to plug in their phones, to plug in devices that they may want to charge. Also, if somebody had like an old school iPod, kind of showing my age here, but if you had even a USB jump drive, you could plug a jump drive into this that had music on it and play it off of these. So we will have to hide these because these have a connection that go into the back of the radio. And I'm going to guess that they come around to the front. Yeah. Yep. Oftentimes they'll put the USB ports on the front. They didn't do that on this one. So they're actually on the back, which means I have to run my harness around the back. What I'm doing is I'm just lining up my harnesses now. I'm plugging in the one USB and then I'm going to plug in the secondary USB. One of these is going to be probably a charging port as well. So one will be a charge, the other one will just be a Wi-Fi connect to the radio. Now that I got that, I can do this harness next. So this was the green one, single plug. And I'm going to snap this one in and this one in. I'll show you guys here in just a second. So we've already got, right here, we've got our USBs. We're going to string these outside. I'm going to probably, there's a tray that sits down below here. I'll show you guys that tray here once I bring you inside before we put this radio back in. There's a tray that sits down here, and I'm going to probably loop these down into that tray so that they'll hang inside that tray and they can use them. This will stay behind the radio. We're going to hide all this wiring. We don't need this stuff being exposed. So we're just going to leave this tucked behind the deck. The other one we have to connect is this one. This is the blue connector that we removed. And we do have a spot that this has to be connected. There's a black power right here for the main head unit. We snap this in. And then we have this here. Okay. We had a red plug here. That was for our GPS connection. That is this one right here. This has to get screwed onto the back of here and get tightened up before we can go into the head unit. I'm looking at one more wire here that has to be connected, and they had it zip tied to a harness. So right here, they had this zip tied to the main harness. I'm probably going to have to cut this so that I can fish this down to where it needs to be. This is for the dual control on here, just based on what this is lined up to. But I'm going to connect it anyway, just in case it's for the AC or any of the climate control features. We don't want to have that not working, so we're going to go ahead and connect it. Let me grab a side cutters. I'm going to clip that connector off. Actually, I'll try to do this one on camera for you guys, because you don't want to cut your wire harness, so you want to get in a good spot where you can snip the zip tie without cutting the wire. You're just trying to remove this little zip tie. You don't want to have it break the harness. And now we see why they zip tied it. So if you guys look, this is tied into the main harness. So you do need to snip that. The reason they do this, though, is so that during shipping, they don't break this wire. Okay. So here we go. This is what our harness looks like, guys. Really, really messy. So unfortunately, this is the way they designed these. But you have your main harness here. We had to loop this through in order to get this connected. So this harness had to go in between this connector that had these multiple wires. We have this harness here, which is the main feeds for your controllers on your front side here. So this is your main heater controls, climate control, things like that. This is your main radio harness. This is where the power goes in for the main unit. It does feed power up here down to here. So these are linked, guys. This is why I said this is a bad design, because it's all connected as one. Give me ones if that makes sense to you guys. Why we would see this kind of a mess. For me, it doesn't make any sense why they had to overcomplicate this, other than they were just trying to squeeze so much technology into a tight area. And honestly, this is an 03, guys. We see a lot worse when it gets newer. The newer vehicles, it's ridiculous how much technology they pack in such a tight area. The back of the radios on most Silverados and Colorados, you guys would never even think about digging on anything back there because everything runs through the radio. Dodge Challengers and Chargers are the same way. Way too much running through the radio. 09 was a horrible year in the Rams for the wiring harness and the radios, because everything from that point on, everything ran through the radio so that you had more control over everything. In my mind, just a really, really, really bad design. But this is what we got to work with, guys, when we got projects like this. It really is a telling tale of what we run into on a daily basis in the automotive world. Checking out a few things. Awesome. Everything looks awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Sunday. We do this every Sunday at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. is our news. So we're going to set this off to the side for a second because I need to get this out of the bag. So my customer might be a little upset that I did not get the backup camera put in. the backup camera requires me to tie into the reverse lights on the car. I don't have enough time to trace wiring today. So that will be something I will do in a different video. Probably when I get a bunch of this other stuff caught up. Personally, I only have about one vehicle running that I trust, that if I had a phone call and was told I needed to run out of state today, there's only one I would take. And I used to think that the Kia was the one I would take, but not right now. And it might not be for a while, depending on what motor we would get for it or if they fix it properly. If they cut corners and they put it back together after finding a bunch of metal shavings and they think they found out what's wrong and they don't bother cleaning out that engine, I'm not keeping that car. I've been around the automotive industry long enough in my life. I've blown up enough motors myself that I know exactly what I'm looking at. Some of them were intentional. Some of them I blew up on purpose. Just because I was playing around with the car and driving it too hard and I wrecked it. But that was my own doing. Again, this is double-sided tape. We can hide this anywhere. Some people will run these up and put them in the upper corners of the windshields. I don't like going up here because if there is a situation where they have to replace the glass, then they're going to have to replace this. I like to put this down on the lower part of the dash, so that way it's not blocked by anything. If you put it up here on the glass, you can actually put it up too far and it can be in that sunscreen. That will effectively limit its range. So I will put that down on the dash. If they run into problems with it down on the dash, there's enough cable here, I will take and run it up the windshield. But I always try the dash first, because if you ever do have to replace a window, it's one less thing that they have to deal with at that time. Okay, so I'm going to have to get a wrench and I have to tighten this up right here. We can't leave this loose. This will affect the range of this GPS if I don't get that tight. Okay, so I got this tight. It was an 8mm wrench. I held the wire, turned the wrench, got this tight. This doesn't wiggle around now. So it's nice and tight. It will get good signal. I can run this wire up anywhere I need, up underneath the dash. And with the center section out on that dash, it's easy to run it up and put it off to the side of either side of where that center section of that dash goes in, as long as I don't pinch this wire. So we're getting really close to putting this in the car. The only thing left is I do notice I have my antenna wire. I also have our auxiliary. This does look like it has the microphone wire for the headset. So we're going to put this one in next. So this gives us our microphone wire. That I will need to take and run it along the dash, up the pillar, and put the microphone up on the sun visor on the driver's side. That way it gets good reception and good microphone signal when somebody is on their Bluetooth radio or hands-free. Awesome, awesome. So, give me ones if everything's coming in really good right now, guys. Give me ones if audio's good, sound is good, everything's good. Give me a 1 so I can make sure I've got everything set. While I'm waiting for you guys to give me ones, I'm going to set this down. And we are going to pull the clips off of the stock unit. The clips that we need, there should be one here and one here, but these fell, so I'm going to have to find those. We have one here and another one on this side. So those are our 2 clips. While I'm waiting for you guys to hit a 1, I'm going to start wiggling these off with a flat screwdriver. Again, if everything's coming in nice and clear, guys, the sound is good, audio is good, visuals are good, give me a 1. Awesome, thanks, Jay. So the clip went flying. I heard it hit the ceiling. Now I'm looking for it. So I'm searching for that clip that went flying. There's enough screws in the radio that I don't need to worry about it not holding tight. I'm just trying to give it the best securement that I possibly can. Oh, I thought I listened long enough to hear it fall. That clip had some force, and I know it hit the ceiling. I was not expecting it to go flying off that hard. I'll probably find it after I clean up everything. All right. Let's go for round 2, and this time hopefully I don't lose the clip. So what I'm going to do is try to put my hand in there this time. That way the clip bounces off of my hand and not goes flying. That's better. Okay, so a little frustrating that I got one clip I'm going to have to track down. Like I said, I heard it hit somewhere, but I just don't know where it went. Yep. So I'm going to go inside the car. I'm going to find these 2 clips. They're laying down in there. I'm going to have to use my magnet. And then I will move everything, bring you guys around, show you guys. I'll show you guys what we've already done here. All right, I need my other light. Where did that go? All right, so the one clip is buried. It slid down into the carpeting. So I'm going to use a needle nose to go fishing that clip out of there. All right, so here's our 2 clips that we got to put on the bottom of the radio. I had to fish those out. Pull our main unit out again. guys. Let me grab this. So here's our clips on the bottom. We just put these on. And we just put one on this side on. Wish I could find where the other one went flying because we're about ready to set this radio in. So what I might do is run this microphone wire, give myself a little bit of time to clean up and see if I can find that other connector that went flying. So I'm going to run this wire. We're going to come from up on the headrest. We're going to run the wire over. I'll probably put a zip tie on this. I'm going to run it down this pillar and across the front to the center section. And then we're going to be ready to set our head unit into place. We will clip in all the wires, snap everything into place, and we'll start putting the screws in. Now, before I do all of this, I'm going to bring you guys inside and show you guys everything I had to take apart. If I don't do this part, guys, you guys don't know what needs to be done. And I want you guys to have all the information, guys. Whenever you're doing a project like this, it does you guys no good if you guys don't have all the information. So when I don't show you guys the inside of the car and what I took apart, you guys aren't going to know what to take apart and what this looks like. So here is the wonderful mess that was the radio. This top piece is the first piece that you have to pull off. It's held in by 3 clips across the front. 3 clips. Then you're going to have some side clips, two more side clips. Those you will have to pop up in order to get this center section out. Once the center section's out, you have 3 screws. 1, 2, 3. Pull those 3 screws and the top is loose, but don't try to pull it out yet. You have to come down here and snap this bezel out right here. Take this bezel out. You'll come from the side with a plastic clip tool. You will need this to get that section up. Use this to pop that bezel out, and you're going to use it to also pop this tray loose because you're going to have 2 screws inside that tray right there. 2 screws down in there. One there and one there, right where my finger's poking through. 2 of them. You pull those. You have 2 metal clips on the bottom. Again, use your plastic clip tool, and it'll pop them loose here and here. I took these screws loose. I didn't have to. I could have left these in here, but I took them loose because I just didn't know if they were attached. But now that I see that they're not, I'm probably going to put these in before I go any farther, because if I drop the screws, I can go fish them out easy right now, where if I got everything back together and then I drop them in before putting the bezel on, I could wind up losing the screws and have to take this all back apart. I don't want to do that. Once I took this tray out, there were 2 screws, one here and one down here. Okay, these 2 came out for this tray right here. You can see where the screws were. You got to pull those screws in order to get the tray out. They go there, and there are the trays, or the screws for the tray. That one and that one are for this here. So the silver pieces you saw, those screws go through here. Once you pull those 2 screws, you wiggle that tray with your pick tool, go down and in, pry up, wiggle this tray out. You will have to put the car down into either first or second gear in order to get that tray out. Once the tray is out, you will have those clips here and here that held the radio in. They hold in really tight, and oftentimes they tip and they fall. So oftentimes these will either pull out and the clips will fall down and you'll have to find them like I did. Otherwise, they will stay attached to the radio. You will also have a clip up here and a clip here. These are the ones that I lost. These are not going to be as important because you do have these screws up here and you have the clips down here holding this whole radio in. These are just supports to keep this all close together, but we do have one, and if I can't find the clip, it'll work. Here's our wire harness. We had a connector here that I had to cut this harness off. This is our blue connector. This is our radio connector, the one that's for our FM, AM and FM radio. This is our controls for our heater. So, with this being our main controls, and this one being stereo, we got to make sure these three are hooked back up. We're also going to have that wire that we talked about, two of them. We have the one wire going up for the GPS, and I'm going to probably lay it either on that side or on that side. That is where I'll lay them. And then we're going to have where we're going to put the microphone in up here. All right, guys, give me ones if that all made sense to you guys. Ones if that all made sense. Also, give me a 1 if everything came out good in the video. Jay, you're probably still watching. If I missed anything or the video did not come in clean, Jay, give me a 2. Give me a 2 if it wasn't clean. It's good. Awesome, awesome. Cool. All right, guys. So this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you guys back. I'm going to take everything off the windshield. I'm going to set you guys on the windshield again as I start putting this all back together. I keep looking for that clip, but I can't find it. It went flying. I heard it hit behind me, and I looked everywhere behind me, and I can't find it. I'm going to guess it's probably under the car somewhere, and I'm not going to try taking the car out for that. That's just crazy talk at this point. All right. Tried to get the camera in the best position possible. Show you guys what I'm doing here. Yeah, never mind the junk on the side, guys. I can't control any of that. Awesome. So, one thing we do have to hook up is we have to put this connector in the back of the radio before we put the radio in. So I'm going to start by running this along the windshield first. So maybe what I'll do is I'll move you guys off or back a little farther here. Trying to get a good angle without having you guys fall off the hood. Trying not to bust up a camera. So my first goal, guys, is to get in here, and I want to run this wire for this microphone. I'm not trying to make a big mess of the wiring. Some of this I'm going to be tying up, guys, because it's going to be in the way. So I'm also trying not to make a wiring mess for myself. Okay. All right, so honestly, the way these work is you want to clip these in. I always clip them in from the top of the sun visor. So I go from the top front leading edge closest to the windshield is where I try to snap these in place on the headrest. I try to look for a spot that's close either here or here. And the reason I try to go here is that I got a shorter run to this windshield and then I can run it down in here. Sometimes people like to have it over a little bit farther so that they can pick up if they're talking to somebody. Like if there's other people in the car, they could have two people talking if it's located here. The only issue with doing it this way is you are going to have to run a zip tie over and zip tie this wire up out of the way so that you can run it along the windshield. So that's the only hang up with putting it over here. But when you put it over here, then it'll hear more people in the car. If you move it over, it's only really going to want to pick up the driver. So I will move it here. Then I'm going to feed it through. Okay, there's a trick here, guys. What we can do is grab a 90-degree pick tool and we'll run a pick tool down the side of that pillar. And we can feed that wire in as we do that. Now, obviously, we do not want to cut the wire, so we want to be careful, which is why I'm going to use a 90-degree pick tool so that I can use it to pick behind the plastic and pull the plastic away as I fish the wire in there. Okay, so now that I got some of it in there, I can go along the edge and kind of fish this in. Okay. And if they ever pull the glass, this wire will be there. So they have to be careful not to hit that wire or they're going to wreck the microphone. And then what I can also do is take the elbow edge of the 90-degree pick and just work the wire in to this plastic trim. And it can just sit here. It's not going to hurt anything, guys. I got a spot where it's getting tight. I can come in here and pull that plastic out, fish it in. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just slowly feeding this wire around the front here, hiding it down into the cowl area so that I can get this wire down in where I need it to be. Okay. So this wire can lay behind this area. I don't need to keep all of this stuff out and exposed. This can all lay in the back here. So when I plug this in, I want to make sure that everything is out of the way to where I'm not pinching any wires, and that it can lay back behind the radio. So what I'm doing is just carefully fishing it around so it doesn't get snagged on any wire harness. I want it laying where the rest of the wire harness is, so that I can keep everything kind of together. I don't want to have a spot where it's not going to lay in here where I want it. And the last thing I want is for it to get pinched. So carefully trying to tuck it out of the way so that the wire will not get pinched when I put this all back together. There is going to be a wire that's going to hang out up here because I was not able to fish it around, but I'll be able to hide it a little bit better when I put the bezel back on. I'll be able to pull this a little bit tighter and hide this up underneath there a little bit better when I put the center section back on. So that is our microphone wire. Now we have our GPS and then the head unit. Check a few things. All right. Now head unit time. So I'm going to reposition you guys here so you can see down in there. Okay, got you guys to where you can see down in there now. Now we can start putting our head unit back on. We're going to start by clipping our wires into place. And then we're also going to run our GPS wire. So before I get too carried away here, guys, I need to get this GPS wire laid up on top. I need to be able to do this in a way that I'm not going to damage the wire harness, meaning I can't run through this leading edge that gets bolted. It has to get fished around. Has to get fished around this bracket. So there's a nasty bracket in here that holds the whole radio on. Just looking for whatever spot allows me to move the GPS head unit up to where I can grab it. Okay, here is our GPS wiring for our head unit. We're going to lay most of the wiring is going to stay down in there. I just need this to stay up here on the dash so that it gets a good signal. And more than likely, I'm going to run it through the same place that I'm going to be running the wire for the microphone on the radio. So probably have it sit right there like that. That way it holds and it stays in that position. So I don't need all that wiring up there. I can leave most of the wiring laying behind the radio. Okay, we're going to pick up our head unit and we're going to start connecting. We're going to start with our green, then we'll move on to our white. Or I should say our blue. Okay, got that. Blue next. Okay, so we got our blue, our green. We have our antenna wire yet, and we have to connect our microphone wire. So here was our mic wire. Now, wherever we laid that other mic wire for our hands-free, we have to plug that in now. Okay, here's our hands-free. Okay, hands-free is connected. The rest of these auxiliary wires are for amplifiers and things like that. Next, we got to get our antenna wire plugged in. Now, our antenna wire is not a very long wire, meaning we are going to have the head unit really close when we plug this in order to have the radio channels. I'm going to look for an extension wire just because this doesn't look like it wants to reach. So the stock antenna wire does not want to reach. They may have included a connector in the kit. Really hoping that they did because that is really hard to reach. Nope. All right, so that's a little frustrating. That wire may not connect, guys. We can't pull on this wire. There's one right here that's designed for the radio. If we pull this wire too hard, we're actually going to pull this out somewhere else down the line. So I can't do that. What this needs is it needed an adapter. It really needed an adapter harness to get it down that far. And we can't get that adapter harness today. So they were more concerned about having the car connect and all of that. So I'm going to make sure that my Bluetooth is down so they can reach them. And then I'm going to try to tuck this wire harness back behind here. Now again, these have to go back behind a bracket. And it's the one that clips the bottom of this radio in place. I showed you guys that bracket before. It's why we chased for these tabs. There's a bracket that goes across the bottom, and then it bolts up on top. I showed you guys that wire harness. My goal is to get all of this rat's nest up and back behind here before I set the radio in. If I can plug in the radio antenna, I will, but I'm not going to force it. If it doesn't want to go because I don't have enough cord, I'm not going to force it over there. Yeah, it's not going to go. It's a couple of inches too short. So what I'm going to do is line up everything, make sure I'm not pinching wires before I press my radio down into place. I'm also going to find all of my USBs and I'm going to set those off to the side. Because when I put that tray in there, I need to make sure that those USBs are not in the way. Everything else I want to have tucked behind right now. So that the only thing that's sticking out is those USBs. Okay. Slowly wiggling it down into place, making sure everything snaps in where it's supposed to go before I start putting screws in. Okay. Clips are in. We're going to start by putting the top 3 screws in this radio. Phillips screwdriver. You're going to want something a little bit longer like this one. I'm going to start with the easiest one to reach, which should be the center one. All right, so I got 1 screw in, clips are in, everything's wired. Before I go any farther, I'm going to want to grab my ignition key and turn this on. This is one of the most important steps you can do, guys. If you don't put the key in and test the radio, you could be putting a bad radio in it and then nothing works. So we want to get this to at least make noise through the speakers. We also want to run all of our controls as well. Okay, it did power up. Our fan speed works. We have our off switch. We have audio or auto for our controls. Does not look like I have the AC controls, so I'm going to try starting the car and see if it gives me function to AC. So it does allow me to turn AC on. I have controls. Everything's working. They can go through and play around with this and get this set up to the way they want it. My goal is just to get this stuff set up and working for them. It does use Android, so it is using an Android setup. They can play around with this. There is a lot here for them to do. The only thing is they will not have factory radios, so they will have to connect their their phones to it if they want to have music for now. The basic radio stations are not going to work. So now that we know that, let's get the top 3 screws put in it. If you guys got any questions, chat them in now. We're going to be getting into the home stretch of this. The rest of this will go pretty quick, guys. So 3 up on the top. That puts our head unit in nice and tight. Next, we got our USBs, and we've got this tray. The lid has to be closed on this tray before we slide this into place. Also, we want to put our wires down into this tray before we go pushing this into place, because we want our wires to be where we need them. The other thing is guys, you got to have the key in for this part, because you can't move that tray into place if the shifter isn't all the way down. So again, all the way down. Now we can snap our tray into place. Okay, so we got our tray snapped into place. Again, we had to wiggle down and kind of shift in order to get that tray to snap in. I'll show you guys the final product here. Okay. So my goal is to make sure that my tray moves up and down. It does. The wires are exposed. They can get at those. Next, I'm going to put in these 2 screws alongside the shifter. Just in case I drop them, I can fish them out with the magnet right now. But once I start putting that little center tray back together, I won't be able to get in here that easy. So we're going to put this in right now. Okay. Then we're going to drop our little tray in. And there's clips that hold it in place. I'm pulling up Google Maps right now. I want to make sure it works for them. I'm typing in a location to see if it goes there. So it's not able to find updates at this time. So I'm going to venture to say that this thing needs to connect to some kind of internet. meaning it will probably use whatever internet you have on your phone when you connect your phone. It'll automatically piggyback off of your phone. But I will let the customer play around with that. Next is this little tray. You just push this in here and it snaps down into place. Okay, next is our bezel. This goes around our shifter. Now for the fun one, guys. We can go ahead and put our vehicle back into park and we can turn off our car. We will have 2 screws left over that were held on the underside of the radio. That bracket's not there anymore. You don't have that with this newer style radio. There is no supports there. So you remove these 2 screws permanently. They just don't go back in. Before we snap this in, we're going to go ahead and fix this antenna to the windshield. And if you don't want to go to the windshield, like I said, I will try the dash first, because if they replace the window, they're going to have to deal with replacing the adhesive on this, where if I put it on the dash, it's out of the way. So next, I'm going to feed these wires over and get this lined up. Okay, before I snap anything down, I want to make sure that my wires are not pinched. I want to be able to pull and move them around easily. And I'll snap the front in. Okay. And then I'm just going to pop these down. And what this will do is this will tighten up the wires here. And it'll keep everything down. Okay. So now the wire's down, GPS is up there, radio's in, this all works. So they will have to hook up their phone, they will have to test out their settings. I am going to leave that up to them to do. I'm going to clean out all of the tools and take those 2 extra screws that I'll show you guys here in just a bit. I'm also going to bring you guys inside so you see what the final product looks like. With every job, you want to make sure you take your tools out, guys. All right, so we're nearing the end here, guys. Send in any chats you got now, any questions. I'm going to do a little bit of a recap here with you, and then we're going to probably wrap this up until 7 tonight. See where you guys are at. I wasn't able to get in there and show you guys everything I wanted to show you, so I'm a little disappointed in that. But let's bring you guys around. I'm going to do this recap with you guys right now. So this is the recap on our radio install, guys. So here's our radio installed. We've got our top bezel on. We've got everything snapped in. We've got that wire ran right there for the GPS. We have our speaker up here. So speakers up here. Head unit is in, screws are in, everything's nice and tight. All of our AC and heater controls work like they're supposed to. We've got this tray put back into place. This is what I was wrestling before here, guys, was this tray. This tray is in, works. Also, we have our USBs laying inside this tray so they can plug in their USBs and connect to the radio. Also, we put this tray back into place here, and we put our bezel back on. Those two screws that we removed live up underneath this radio. They're hidden. When you go to take those out of the factory unit, you will not put those back in because that bracket is now gone. There is no bracket there. But they're going to want access to these USBs. And one of these are going to be a charge, and one of them is going to be the connect. So they will have to figure out which one is which. I was not going to label those at this time, but they have the USBs there that they can use. They've got a radio in here. I was not able to get any sound out of the radio. Let me put you guys up, and I'm going to grab the keys. And I want to try to get some sound out of that radio. The whole point of doing this is they couldn't get any sound out of the radio. So my goal is to make sure that we have sound coming out of the radio. And I need to know this works before I give it back to them. So if I have to, I'm going to plug my phone into this. Try to get my phone to work on it just to see if this worked. Again, we want to make sure this works for them. So I'm going to go into mine. I'm going to turn on my Bluetooth. Okay, I'm pairing. All right, hands-free is connected. So let me see if I can gotta be careful with copyright, so I don't want to play anything music related, guys. And it should have the steering wheel controls as well, if we have a steering wheel with volume, which I don't think we do. No, we don't. Okay. Trying to find somebody that won't copyright strike me if I play 10 seconds of their video. So I don't know how that one got in here. Got some pre-records. They can plug in a USB. So they can put music on a USB if they want. They have surround sound. All right, so I got that. Just trying to figure out how to play it. So I can actually allow contacts if I wish. They could actually have their contact list in here. I'm going to currently deny that because I don't want my contact list in their car. It allows me to make a call. Okay. Try to turn the key back so I'm not running the fan constantly. There we go. All right, I'm gonna close the door, guys. You'll hear me talk here, but what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to update their Google Play. Unfortunately, they're gonna have to probably sign in. Yeah, they're gonna have to sign in to their Google Play. Okay, so we got some static out of the speakers. That's a good sign. That means that it's connecting. So they may have to get a jack to plug into their car, like an adapter. Usually a charging cord will work. They do have one here, but it's for Apple, so I can't use that one. But they should be able to access, and they have a radio. So that's what I was after, guys. All right. I know some of this was off screen, guys. I do apologize for that. I'm actually going to go in and unpair that device. Okay. All right. I had to unpair that device quick, guys. All right. Oh. All right, guys. Give me Give me a 1 in the chat if you guys liked what we did today. 2 if you didn't, and what could we change for you guys in the future? I know I could have gotten more close-up shots for you guys. I tried to cover everything all in one stretch, so if I made a clip out of it, it would all be there. A lot of it was me wrestling with plastic in the inside to get everything to snap in. I know that's not very exciting on screen. I try to make it as entertaining as I can, but you guys get the idea. So 1, if everything came out good. 2, if it didn't, tell me what we could work on to improve. All right, kind of a slower day today, guys. Yeah, it is what it is. So guys, we're about ready to get into the last piece of little update info that I got for you guys here. We will be back at 7 p.m. tonight to do the news. Please tune in at 7 p.m. Check us out. We'll cover all the weekly news topics. We'll do a wrap up of what we did today. Guys, the biggest thing was we needed to get a radio in this today. Also, we are working on having an interview with the car owner, because the interview with the car owner will explain what they're doing with the car, why they wanted so many more features to it, and kind of what this car will be doing for them in the future. So that's some of the stuff that we have going, and that's what we've got lined up for the near future. Beyond that, what we have is we have that Tahoe that we have to do a complete 100K tune-up on it. Also, we have to do a 100K tune-up on the Silverado, which is Big Red. Champagne Bubbles, you guys already got that update earlier in the show, so you guys can tune in if you guys missed that and get caught up on what was going on with Champagne Bubbles. Yeah. What we've got going for Crimson Vortex, guys, after doing the oil change, I'm finding metal shavings in the oil. As I talked about earlier in this video with Champagne Bubbles having metal shavings in the engine, this is a doomsday scenario for the motor. It doesn't mean that the transmission's bad. It doesn't mean that the transfer case is bad or the front differential, but it does mean that the motor is probably going to need a rebuild. I hate to say this, we are probably going to look at doing a motor build. One way or another, we're either doing a motor swap or a motor build based on what happens with Champagne Bubbles and now Crimson Vortex. We're going to limit how much we drive Crimson Vortex from this point on. We're going to keep the miles off of it. We're only going to run it when we have to. We're going to try to limp this thing along until I can figure out a plan if we're going to sell this off and if we're going to pick up something else. There is a possibility we could dump this for something that is fuel efficient, especially if we get rid of Champagne Bubbles. That might be the alternative, is that we pick up a cheap fuel economy car, something like this, and then we will work on that car, bring that up to speed, and that'll just be a backup car that we can keep around and run whenever we need it. Otherwise, we'll see what happens with Champagne Bubbles, really. If the motor comes back good and they do a good job on that, then we're going to keep that around. If they try to shortcut it and cut corners, I'm not going to deal with that at all. And I will be running them up the flagpole on that repair. If they try to take shortcuts, guys, I'm going to call them out on it, because that is a load of garbage. We don't do that here. And we don't tolerate dealerships cutting corners like that. So If they're already finding metal debris in the oil and they're already saying they need to take the top of the valve train apart to see the extent of damage, that tells me it's pretty bad. That means that oil and metal have been flushing around in there for a little bit, and they're concerned about the bearings being bad. And just like this one, I'm concerned about the same thing. When I pulled the drain plug, I found little metal specks. Not a good sign. Really, really, really not a good sign. You should never see metal in your oil at all, ever. Ever, 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 ever. If you do your own oil changes and you drain it and you have a magnet on the end of it, wipe the magnet. If the magnet has metal flakes, so this is something to know for the future, guys. If you're doing your own oil changes and you're watching what you're doing with your car maintenance, you can spot when you start having engine problems. This thing's already got engine problems. Fortunately, this is something we're going to have to deal with. One way or another, we're either going to be fixing it or I'm going to be selling it and we're going to find something else to replace it with. Unfortunately, it's such a clean truck. I just don't want to pass it on because I know that if somebody buys it and the motor does have bigger issues, they're probably going to get rid of it. And for how good a shape it's in, I mean, it's got practically no rust on it. It's a clean truck, even though it's got high miles. So, yeah, very frustrating. Very, very, very frustrating. I know YouTube's kind of killed the stream today, so you guys are just chilling out with me here before I go ahead and wrap this video up here. We're probably going to wrap up in the next few minutes. Guys, this was a good repair. This showed us how we can buy stuff off of Amazon and eBay, get it working in the car, plug it all in, get everything set up. So we know that the radio works. We heard it make noise. They're going to have to hook up their phone, get all that connected. They're going to have to go through that. So in the box, let me grab the box. In the box, there's going to be a user guide. Yeah, I did find this wire here. This was a Bluetooth wire. And this is the Wi-Fi antenna. So you would have to buy those separately. We're not going to put those in. And it's also the wire for the camera in. So this would be for the camera as well. But these need a receiver attached to these wires. Without a receiver, it doesn't have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. We did hook up the pod, meaning that if they can get in through Apple or through Android and they can do an update on it, they should be able to get everything set working. And I'm going to send the owner's manual with them. I'm looking to make sure that I want to make sure I connected everything that I was supposed to connect for this. Yeah. So they include everything. They tell you guys how to set this up, how to go through that. Like I said, the antenna we couldn't hook up. I'm going to give them the owner's manual, and I'm going to hang on to any additional cables that came in the kit because at some point they're probably going to want me to hook up the backup camera. Backup camera is going to take a little bit more time, guys. It really is. And without having the antennas for these, I can't hook this up. These have to get hooked into an antenna. This one has to get it hooked into a 12-volt source, but without having the antennas to hook into, these are not going to do us any good. The pod should help them with being able to do GPS. So it probably won't work while it's here in the garage. There's too much interference. So it might not work here in the garage, but they should have the GPS function. They already have the connecting of the phone, so they can play stuff off of that. They're going to have to figure out how to hook that up on through the user guide. They might have to have the phone plugged into one of those USB ports, but that's all that they really need in order to get this car up and going and doing what they want to do with it. Now that it works, they have to hook up and get it connected. So I will hang on to this because, like I said, this isn't going to do them any good if I don't have antennas to hook to it. So this Bluetooth antenna and the Bluetooth Wi-Fi antenna, they're supposed to be wires that get connected to these. And without these having wires, in fact, I'll look here in the owner's guide quick, guys. Those look like orange and black wires. Yeah, and this is all going to be camera. So that's not going to do anything for the Wi-Fi. There's an amp controller wire that I knew about. We did not hook that up. And the rest of this is all just basic connectivity and how to set up, how to use a flash drive. It does say there's a video function, but most of the videos, guys, when you do this, most of the time your videos don't play if you don't hook up a brake wire, meaning that they want you to have the e-brake pulled in order for the videos to play. This was done because people would put a video on their screen, and they'd be watching it while they're driving, and they'd get into an accident. So that's some of that. You have to really read your manuals in order to get everything in the way you need it. So guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up here. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Sunday. We do this every Sunday at 3 p.m. We do our project. Next week, I'm hoping to do the interview. I will let you guys know ahead of time. And usually you guys will get the notice on Friday nights, Saturday mornings for upcoming videos. And then after that, you guys will get to see what we're doing. That will be a really big interview, guys. We're going to be interviewing the owner of this car and what he's doing with it. I can tell you that it is quite involved, what he has planned. So I will let him explain that when he comes here. If that interview doesn't work, we are going to start digging right into the black Tahoe that was in here last week. So the plan is to get that Tahoe in, start doing the tune-up on it, get the 100K service done. I do have to do a video on explaining how to service a transmission. That video is going to be rather important for you guys, especially if you have a vehicle that's 2014 and newer. 2014 and newer usually will have the 8-speed transmissions in them. And those 8-speed transmissions have a thermostat in the oil, meaning that it does this to heat up that transmission oil faster. That also causes a shudder within the transmission. And a lot of places are bypassing that so that they don't have to deal with that. But guys, I want to say thank you for all your support. Continue hitting the like button, the subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you get notified when I go live. Hey, Ariel, good to have you in here. I'll give you a little bit here. I'll give you a little bit before I wrap this up. Today we did a project replacing the car radio on this thing. Good to have you in here, actually. I didn't think I had anybody on right now. Yeah, you caught me last minute. I do have a little bit of time, so I can chill out here with you for a bit before I go ahead and wrap her up. Usually I'll end about 6 at the latest, but I usually try to go around 5:30, but I got some time. But yeah, we did a car radio in this. We replaced the stock unit with one that I could get off of Amazon that had a large LED screen that allowed me to do Google Maps, Android, and Apple CarPlay. It has all the functions. It even has hands-free calling. So we hooked up the microphone. We put in the receiver for the GPS. We got everything, all the wires laid in. We got all the brackets put back into place, all the plastic clipped back in. We did have to remove 2 screws out of the bottom of the radio. There were 2 mounting screws on the old factory radio. Let me see if I can grab that for you. It's really quite nice in here. Nice. Yeah, here's our old radio, guys. Since Jay and the others ain't here. Yeah. Try to keep it nice and simple for everybody. But yeah, here is our old radio. This is a problem. Anytime we have a radio like this where it has all of our controls down here and our radio unit up here, we run into problems when one of these go wrong. And the radio started malfunctioning. The radio itself wouldn't pick up any radio stations and it kept cutting out, meaning that it just wouldn't put out any sound and it would pop. That popping got to the point where it just stopped working. So they wanted the radio replaced, and we got a nice unit off of Amazon. And this unit, like I said, had so many different features. I'm moving you around because I'm going to bring you inside and show you what I got done here. So there's our unit, our large screen radio. Let's see if I can get in here. So here's our large screen radio. And we had to take this piece loose. We had to pop clips on the front here, and then along the side, we had to pop those loose. Up there, you can see where we ran that the mounting unit for the GPS. So that is just double-sided adhesive on the dash. And the reason we put it on the dash, not the windshield, was I want to try it on the dash because if they ever have to replace the window because it's cracked, I don't want them to have to take and put double-sided tape on that again and potentially wreck that wire. Also, we ran this up here to get us hands-free calling. So we did that as well. But after we pulled this piece out, there were 3 Phillips screws behind here that we pulled. Then we came down here and we took this cover off. This cover, we can get underneath it with a plastic pick tool, and we can pop this up. Underneath this tray, we had 2 screws once we took this tray loose. So took this tray out. There were 2 screws underneath there. Then we were able to pop this piece out. And there's two more screws hiding underneath here. One on this side, one on this side. And then this whole tray popped out. When the tray popped out, then we had access to those two hidden screws that we did not put back in. We permanently removed them. They're no longer there. We also installed our USB ports. These are going to allow them to connect their phones and everything to the car. Now, this does have Bluetooth connectivity. So once they can program their phone to it, they'll have Bluetooth. It's a pretty nice setup on the radio, but now we've got all of our AC and heater controls. We have our climate control, fan speed, AC. All of this stuff is on the new unit, meaning this all came as one unit. In here, it's set up on Android, so if they can connect to an internet signal, they can update this via Android. They can get all the updates, get the maps programmed in. They can get everything set up in here so they can do this via not having to have the phone going. They can do everything through this unit. This will be a nice setup for them. It did come with a backup camera, but we chose not to do that today. I had too much I needed to do to get this thing done. So we opted to not put the backup camera in today. Oh man, the ad interrupted. I forgot to turn those ads off. Son of a dog. I like to keep those ads off while I'm doing the live stream for you guys. That got away from me today. Okay, so I will make sure I turn ads off when I do the news tonight, guys. I will definitely do that. But yeah, when you take this all apart, you'll see everything come apart. It all kind of clips in. There's certain screws, two of them are hidden. You take those out permanently. They won't go back in. I did grab the owner's manual that I'll give to them so that they can actually program their own phones into it. The nice thing is like I said, this radio will allow them to connect their phones. And if they can find a way to update that radio, they can get their Google Maps to be accurate. They just have to be able to connect possibly to their house Wi-Fi and have it update via their house Wi-Fi. I'm not going to do it here. Plus, they will have to log in on their Google account. If I do it, then it's going to be on my account, and I don't want that. So they're going to have to do that. That's part of the radio. But one tool that you definitely will need is this plastic pry tool. This comes in handy a lot. You absolutely need this. Where did it cut out for you, Oreo? Where was I at in the explanation when it cut out? I'll try to get you caught back up. I forgot where. Okay. What I can do is I'll just give you the brief rundown. The plastic piece pops up. There's 3 screws along that face of the plate towards the top. 3 Phillips screws, then the top is loose. To get the bottom, you have to take the bezel out around the shifter using this. Pop that bezel out, then you have to pull that little tray out. There's 2 screws inside that tray. Then there's 2 screws underneath for the cubby that you have to take out. And then there's the 2 hidden screws up underneath the radio. I can grab the radio and I can show you where the 2 hidden screws are and where the 3 mounting screws are. Okay. So 3 mounting screws across the top. Here is where the 2 hidden screws are, 1 on each side. So the 2 hidden screws are underneath here. This is why you have to take that tray out. So you can get up underneath this radio and undo these 2 screws. You can't do it with that tray in there. So that tray has to come out. Right now we have, in the tray, we have USB ports, and they can use that to connect to their car. I'll probably also give a recap here tonight when we're doing the news as well. Are you going to be back at 7 for the news, Oreo? Awesome, awesome. If I'm not too busy. Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, we'll do the news tonight. I've got some stuff to cover in the news. Since you're here, I'm going to give you an update. You know that we have champagne bubbles. You probably haven't seen it in a while. So it would have been a while ago you would have seen it. But champagne bubbles got diagnosed with metal shavings in the engine. So it's currently sitting at a Kia dealership. They are going to begin tearing down the engine next week, and they're going to find out if they're going to fix it under warranty. If they're not willing to fix it, I'm going to pay the bill, pick the car up. We're going to put a junkyard engine in it, and I'm going to decide if we're going to sell the car or keep the car. And that's what's going on with champagne bubbles. Brakes on my Rev4 keep making weird sound. And I don't know what that means. Okay, so if you got brake noise, does it do it when you hit the brakes, or does it do it all the time? Is it a constant, like even when you're driving and not touching the brakes, it's making noise? Or is it only when you hit the brakes? I need to know what that, whenever I hit the brakes. Okay, so you could have two different situations. Let's cover the first one. The first one is maybe you have ceramic brakes and they got moisture and condensation on them, so they'll squeak until they dry off. If it's doing it even after you've driven it a while and it's like every time you hit the brakes, then your brake pads have gotten down to the wear bars or the wear squeakers. It's a little metal tab that rubs against the rotor to tell you that your brakes are shot. And that means you need to put in new brake pads. If you're going to do it, you're going to have to put in brake pads both on the left side and the right side. You have to do both together. You can't just do one side or the other. You always have to replace brakes left and right, whether it be front or back. Oftentimes, if you have disc brakes all the way around, I suggest just doing all four. Just do all four and get it over and done with. And if your calipers, when you go to bring your calipers in, if they don't go in and they're too tight to where you have to really crank on them to get them to go down, then you need new calipers. So that's the best advice I can give you without physically seeing the car. But yes, you have, if it's happening all the time, every time you hit the brake, then your pads are shot and you need new pads. When you do that, you need to look at your rotors. And if your rotors have grooves in them, you have to replace the rotors as well. So if the rotors have a groove in the surface that should be shiny, if it's grooved, you got to put new rotors on. Some people say turn them, but it's not worth turning rotors in this day and age. Rotors are so cheap that it's just better to replace them than it is to turn them. And oftentimes they get heat soaked. Heat soaking happens when the brakes have been pressed against for so long that the rotors get so hot. And eventually the rotors get so hot that it actually lessens the stopping distance because the rotors have been heat soaked to where they don't stop properly. So most of the time, I just do rotors and pads together as a unit. So hopefully that helps you out there. Yeah, no problem, man. I always like to help out my mods. Anytime you guys have automotive questions, feel free to chat them in. Help you guys fix your cars. But yeah, doing projects like we were doing today, I wish I could have shown more on camera. It just didn't work for me. Yeah. And tonight I will make sure I turn the ads off when I start my show so you guys don't have to contend with ads during the live stream. I absolutely hate that myself when ads pop up during a live stream. So I'm trying to get better about remembering to turn them off. The only reason I haven't turned it off yet is because we're probably going to wrap up here in the next few minutes or so. Giving everybody a little bit of time to kind of chat in whatever they want before I go. But yeah, Oreo, hopefully that helps you. Hopefully that kind of helps you get figured out what you got going on your REV4. I'm going to guess it's brake pads. I'm going to guess that you're going to need rotors, and you may need a caliper or two. I don't know because I haven't seen the vehicle. If I had pictures of the rotors, if I had pictures of it with the wheel off, I could give you a better idea. And then I could give you an exact direction to go. But rotors, pads, possibly calipers. But yeah, anytime there's a continuous squeaking, that's not a good thing. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Sunday. We will be back next Sunday with a possible interview with the owner of this car, and he's going to be explaining his business and what he's doing with this car. Not only that, but we're going to get into other topics. Also, we're hoping to get that Tahoe back in here and get the 100K service done. I have to do a video on the transmission services, guys. That's a big one coming up. You're not going to want to miss that, especially if you have newer vehicles, especially if you have GM vehicles that are 2014 and newer. You're going to want to know what happened with that transmission flush on that Tahoe. Also, we're going to go through this on Big Red. I have the 100K service coming up on Big Red. We'll see you guys tonight at 7 for the news. We'll cover all the news topics. I'll do a quick wrap up of what I did here tonight or today, and we'll go from there. So, guys, thank you for all your support. Continue hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you get notified when I go live. And I'll see you on the next one.